In the last lesson we learned how to enter and edit data. Now let's talk about something that trips up almost every Google Sheets beginner at some point: cell references. Specifically, the difference between a relative reference and an absolute reference, and why that tiny dollar sign in a formula matters so much. By the end of this lesson, you'll know exactly when to use each one, and you'll never see a formula silently break when you copy or fill it across a sheet again. This single concept underlies almost every formula you'll ever write in Sheets, so it's worth slowing down and getting comfortable with it now. A cell reference is just a formula pointing at another cell by its address instead of typing a fixed number. Let's put 10 in cell A1, then in A2 type equals A1, and press enter. A2 now shows 10, because it's pulling that value directly from A1. Change A1, and A2 updates automatically. That link between cells is what every formula in Sheets is built on. Now let's build a small quantity table. In A2, A3, and A4, type 5, 3, and 8. In B2, type equals A2 times 2, and press enter. Select B2 through B4 and press Ctrl D to fill down. Look closely at each row. B3 automatically became equals A3 times 2, and B4 became equals A4 times 2. Sheets shifted the reference to match each new row. That's a relative reference, and it's what makes filling formulas down a whole column so effortless. Here's where relative references cause trouble. Let's add a single unit price value in E2, type 10. Now in C2, type equals A2 times E2 to calculate a total. That works fine for row 2. But select C2 through C4 and press Ctrl D to fill down, and watch what happens. Row 3 and row 4 come out wrong, because the reference to E2 shifted along with the formula, into E3 and E4, which are empty. The formula followed the wrong cell. To stop a reference from shifting, lock it with a dollar sign in front of the column letter and the row number, like this, $E2. Let's retype C2 as equals A2 times $E2, and press enter. Now select C2 through C4 and press Ctrl D again. This time every row comes out correct, because $E2 stays locked on that exact cell no matter how far down the formula is filled. That's an absolute reference. There are actually 3 ways to use the dollar sign. $A1 locks both the column and the row, a fully absolute reference. $A1 locks only the column, so it can still move down rows. A $1 locks only the row, so it can still move across columns. Let's see all 3 at once by building a small multiplication table, which is the classic example where mixed references shine. Type 1, 2, and 3 across G1, H1, and I1, and 1, 2, and 3 down F2, F3, and F4. In G2, type equals $F2 times G1, then copy G2, select G2 through I4, and paste. The column stays locked on F as the formula moves right, and the row stays locked on row 1 as the formula moves down, so the table fills perfectly in every direction with a single formula. Typing dollar signs by hand works, but there's a faster way. Select an empty cell, type equals A2, and before pressing enter, press F4. Watch the reference cycle, first to $A2, press F4 again for A2, again for $A2, and once more to get back to plain A2. F4 cycles through all 4 states instantly, so you never have to manually type a dollar sign again. Let's recap. A relative reference like A2 shifts automatically to match each new row or column when filled, which is perfect for row-by-row calculations. An absolute reference like $E2 stays locked on one fixed cell, which is exactly what you need when every row should point back to the same value, like a tax rate or a unit price. Mixed references, $A1 and A1, lock just the column or just the row, which is how tables like our multiplication grid fill correctly in both directions at once. And F4 lets you switch between all 4 types in a second, so you never have to type a dollar sign by hand. In the next lesson, we'll put references to work with the formulas everyone should know: sum, average, and the rest of the essentials.